medical assistants, the secretaries, because you're all in this together. Our colleague, Richard Barron, down in Pennsylvania, did a really interesting survey among his colleagues in his little practice called Greenhouse Practice. 8,000 patients, 5 internists, and they asked everybody what they did all day, what was driving them crazy. They did a little practice inventory. And from that inventory, they learned that they were spending a lot of time doing high-level triage decision-making. The clinicians, the physicians, were spending a lot of time doing stuff that could be done by a nurse. So they took one of the nurses and moved her into what they called an information triage role. So this is local analysis, local innovation, small scale, micro scale, very effective, quality of life improving. So we now talk about payment. So the secretary has been told in the ACA to go back and fix that payment system, to fix the system that has allowed these payments to get so spread apart. But this is going to be a war. This is going to be a big battle, because those who have learned to profit from the system are going to dig in and defend the status quo. And this is not a done deal in any way, shape, or form. So we talked about the payment boost, but that's a 5-year process. And when it's over, it's over. So the payment system itself has to be fixed within the next 5 years, or it's going to be right back where it was. So you need to really get on your typewriter, and you need to start sending the message out to anybody you can that we must reform the physician payment system starting now, because it's going to take a long time to get this to happen. And you need to demand from your professional societies, American College of Physicians, the AMA, AAFP, AOA, AAP, any group you belong to, that the payment reform is absolutely necessary. There's a group that set up this website called Replace the Ruck. This is a family medicine doc down in Georgia. And he did this on his own, and it's become a national site for people to come and talk about what needs to be done to change the payment system. There's a lot of talk about accountable care organizations. But I can tell you there's a real risk that the accountable care organizations are going to recreate the larger world on a smaller scale. So there's a lot of talk about the need for strong primary care for a high-performance system. That's the high-level talk, the kind of health, political talk. But you and I all know that that's only going to happen if the local power shifts to the primary care community. So if the underpayment continues, if the systems are not supported, if they have unfunded expectations, it's not going to go anywhere. Any accountable care organization must have a gigantic primary care voice in its leadership and governance. So we are collectively in control. And this is the promise, the new promise, that you each need to make to yourselves, to your colleagues in this room, and to your colleagues all over the country. The only thing we have to fear is the fear that we're not going to get there. And Walt Kelly, we can't self-destruct. We can't, as he said, met the enemy, and he or she is us. If you're not responsible, then who is? And I can tell you, if you look at the list, I won't trust any of these guys. I don't. I trust you guys. I trust you guys. I trust your collective voice. But I certainly don't trust the government. They've given us an opportunity. And professional societies can definitely get off the tracks. AMA, for example, hospitals have got their own agenda. Medical schools got their own agenda. Lay organizations, business. So it's that issue of accountability and the promises. I think every single promise that you make has an accountability implication. So, you promise to take good care of your patients. You promise to fulfill the expectations of your profession. But there's a bigger, larger set of promises that I'm promoting, which is that we need to get to work, and we need to get our profession rebuilt, and rebirthed. So, innovation, advocacy, expansion. Innovation means using your creativity in whatever way we can, be it a tiny, tiny level, like making your office look better, or getting your computer system up to speed, or a macro level. Richard Barron, the guy that we talked about a second ago, he now has left his practice to go work in Washington for the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Innovation. He's one of us. He's a guy that's got mud on his shoes, and he's gone to a high level. Advocacy, make sure you know your values and express those values. And that goes back to that self-reflection thing. And then constantly be on the lookout. If you see a kindred spirit, if you can nurture a kindred spirit, if you can mentor a kindred spirit, it'll help us all, because that kindred spirit may become my doctor someday. Or the kindred spirit found that I find may be your doctor someday, your primary care doctor someday. So I've created a website. You can put your ideas here. It's my website, nobody else's website. No pharma, no nothing. And I've got input from colleagues around the country. And I ask you to come. There'll be cards around the promise of primary care. You Google that, you get me. Some of the stuff I presented here is presented there in more detail, like the wellness visit. So if you want more information on this stuff, go there. There's a lot of misinformation, including misinformation from the professional societies. This is an opportunity for us to just talk to one another. One more promise. This is really great work. I love my work as a doctor. I just can't tell you how much it feeds me. And that's the nice thing about this, because it is what feeds each and every one of us. The day-to-day work, the moment-to-moment, I can conjure up images of people I saw yesterday, people crying in my office, people sharing their souls in my office, people telling me things that they would tell nobody else. Nobody else. Me asking questions that nobody else can ask. That's precious. That is a precious promise that this profession makes to you. So, a medical student, last year, in the New England Journal, primary care is being reframed as the hero's profession. Oh, how sweet is that? The hero's profession. But this is a work in progress. This is not a done deal. This is only going to happen if we make it happen. And that means every single person in this room makes it happen. So each of you is extraordinary. Each of you works consistently, and I do believe that. The last thing that you're going to sacrifice, the very last thing, and I mean that in terms of your personal life, your health, everything, is the care of your patients. Look around, because these are your people. I see you, you're my people. This is our call to action. We've got to get the work done. Together, we can plan. We must begin in many ways and in many places. So this is about your journey and the promises of what brings us together. Thank you.